Hi, TOVA community. I'm Dr. Anderson, back for another episode of TOVA Tuesday, where we talk about health matters with people in our local community and healthcare professionals. As you know, it's really important that I share with you people who are actually doing work in the community, helping you live a healthy life. And today I have on the show Mr. Aviles, and I am so excited to have him because he is the owner of Greenbox, a health and wellness food store and a restaurateur in Wilmington that's actually opening up 2 locations. But he is actually also a yoga instructor. And
Yes.
so I have taken yoga classes and I try to practice it every day in my routines and things that I do to stay healthy, well, and balanced emotionally. But I want to hear from the experts because I think it's really important we talk to people that are actually doing it and give you some tips and resources how you can live a better optimal health life and wellness. So today I have Mr. Aviles on TOVA Tuesday. Welcome, Mr. Aviles. How are you today?
I'm doing very, very good. Thank you for having me. I'm delighted and excited to be here.
I'm excited to have you too. Tell us a little bit about what you do. Talk about you're not from Delaware, you're actually from New York, right?
Yes. Yep.
How did you land in Delaware?
As always, the big question. So I was born and raised in the Bronx, and if you've ever been to New York, you know that New York is very fast paced,
Hmm.
and the lifestyle is very, very different from Delaware. So
Yes.
being born and raised there, I kind of adopted and inherited that lifestyle, that go, hustle, hustle, hustle. And by the time I had reached 2007, I was burnt out. And
Hmm.
life had really hit me hard, and I was down for a while. And my best friend had got a job opportunity to work for DuPont
Hmm.
in in Delaware. And he told me, he said, "Hey, listen, I think it's time that you give New York a break and you try Delaware." And at the time, I had no idea what Delaware was. I didn't even know it existed,
Yeah,
let
you just like
alone
drive through it, if anything, right?
yes, like let
On
alone
the way to
to know that
Maryland or Philly.
yeah, it's only 2 hours away from from
Yeah.
from New York City. So um I packed up everything in my car and I moved to Delaware. And Delaware for me was a big change, a good change, because for the first time it felt like I had got off the treadmill and
Hmm.
things slowed up a little bit. And because I had been so conditioned to that fast pace and Delaware is so much slower, it became very easy for me to establish traction here because I
Hmm.
was still applying myself as if I was in New York, but I was in a completely different environment, and it worked to my benefit.
Wow, we're glad to have you here and people that are social entrepreneurs, but really trying to build a healthy community as well. We need people like
Yes,
you. So I'm so grateful that you're here in Delaware. I
thank you.
also wanted to share with the community that you went to the Maharishi University of Management. Can you talk about that
Yeah,
experience?
so my background is in working with youth. So I started out at the
Mhm.
age of 20 as a paraprofessional in a special education high school. I was a one-on-one para, and that led me to
Wow.
doing IEP development work,
Hmm.
behavior counseling work, and even working in a maximum security youth prison where I was working with kids that were 14 years old doing 25 years of life, which at the
Right.
time I didn't even know existed. Um, so after these ranges of experiences working with youth, I had reached a point in 2011 where personally I had felt like I was failing them because after all of this experience, we had never gotten close to coming up with a solution. And it almost felt like no matter what institution I worked for, the problem was the same and the so-called solution was the same and the outcome was the same, which was no change behavior. And I started seeing the industry take this turn to introduce pharmaceuticals into the equation to attempt to suppress these behavior outbursts, whether it be ADD, whether it be bipolar, whether it be ADHD. And I didn't feel comfortable with it. It didn't sit well with me because I felt like there could be something else that we could be doing. But the dilemma was I didn't have the answer, and no professional within that culture had the answer. So I left and I went seeking for an alternative source, an alternative solution. And I found Maharishi University of Management, which is a consciousness-based education university that's in Iowa. And what that means is
Wow, that was taking a leap of faith to go to Iowa, right?
Oh, yeah. Iowa, there's nothing in Iowa.
That's a good thing, right? Helps to clear your mind, right?
Yeah, it was like a pilgrimage. But being in that environment and being at that school where they introduce and integrate meditation and yoga practices within the academic learning experience changed my life because it gave me an opportunity to grow as an individual while simultaneously growing academically, which ended up being the experience that not only I needed, but the experience that I soon found out that a lot of our youth that are struggling within the school system and just personally as well need. So I spent 3 years there, and I created a bachelor's degree program in youth development and social change. I was the first and only to graduate with that degree. And after being there for about 3 years, I lost 100 pounds. I met a brahmacharian from India, and he put me under his wing, and I learned yoga, and I was practicing meditation, and I adopted a vegan plant-based lifestyle. And really what that time did was it equipped me with the tools that I then could utilize when I came back to Delaware to serve my community.
Wow. And I would encourage all of you, you can see here when your mind is free, you can become more creative and become more in tune with your inner self. And it seems like that time away helped you do that.
Absolutely. I don't think I would be where I am if I didn't have that time to really dive within and to become immersed in personal growth and development.
So you're a social entrepreneur, you have all the businesses going, you're a yoga instructor. What kind of hobbies do you do outside of work?
Yeah, so I'm a new father.
Congratulations.
Thank you. I have a 1-year-old. She's a handful, and she's absolutely amazing and beautiful, and all those great things that us parents are supposed to say about our children. So I do a lot with her. I'm very involved and very engaged, when it comes to her, especially because of my background of working with children, what I know about what children need, especially during those first 7 years. So if I'm not spending time with her, I'm with my partner, I'm with my family. And at this point in my life, I'm really just strategizing and figuring out how I can do what I do that much more efficient while still remaining to be effective, because I'm retiring at the age of 40. So I am on a mission. Yeah. So I'm on a mission to really curate a life for myself at this point intentionally, so I can exit gracefully and still dip and dab and do things, but to really kind of gear my life up to be, a long-term great father, partner, and just experience life and continue to learn and expand my awareness.
Wow, that's fantastic. My goal is to retire at 60, and the way things are looking now with the economy, and I question whether I can get there or not. But I think that is a great goal, and I think you can do it as an entrepreneur, building wealth,
Yes.
obtaining assets. all of that is going to
Yes.
help you get there. And I'm so glad that
Yes.
the young generation is realizing that early, not going down my path later in life to realize that. So let's push for more young people to
Yes.
learn from you and to get into becoming a small business owner and
Yes.
also owning assets in businesses. So I would say keep doing what you're doing, and we're going to follow you and we're going to support your endeavors. But I like to
Thank you.
segue into, because I'm a healthcare provider and I have
Yeah.
worked with, I have a couple clients of mine that are morbidly obese, who
Yeah.
weigh between 400 and 500 pounds, who have lost weight. And one of the things I tell them, and they don't like to hear this, for those who have gotten gastric sleeves placed to help them shrink their stomachs so they feel fuller quicker, I tell them that, 50% of people who go through these procedures gain back the weight. And
Mm-hmm.
that they have to learn to develop healthy lifestyle habits, because that's what's going to keep you going for the long haul. And there's no easy way to lose weight.
Yeah.
You have to change your mindset. And
Yes.
so you've lost 100 pounds, right?
Yes.
I'm starting with just 5, because I feel like if
Yeah.
people can just lose 5 pounds, that is like a catalyst that gets you going for that
You're right.
extra 5 and then the other 5.
Yep.
But, one of the things is that, one of the things I say to my patients, that weight loss doesn't have to be complicated. There are some things that you can do that can help you lose weight. And it's just by changing some small things in your diet. So I wanted to talk to you about some of my tips, but I
Yeah.
also want to hear from you because you're the expert in this
Yeah.
area. I say
Yeah.
to them, drink 1 glass of water before every meal because it helps to
Mm-hmm.
fill you up. Avoid eating processed foods, so
Mm-hmm.
chips and what other kinds of processed food, cookies, right?
Yep.
Things like
Yep.
that you
Cakes,
get.
pastries, all
Cakes,
that.
right?
Yeah.
Add more protein and fiber and also probiotics to your diet.
Yep.
Get
Gut
7
health.
to 8 hours of sleep a night if you
Mm-hmm.
can. That's hard to do.
Yep.
Change up your exercise routine, because sometimes if you're doing the same thing over and over again, your body gets sort of like in this complacent state where you don't have up your metabolic drive.
Mm-hmm.
And one other tip I said, just keep a food journal for 2 weeks. What are you putting in your mouth? You'd be surprised. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and so I say, just start with those simple things. Can you talk about that? And let's talk about your journey that you've lost 100 pounds. What can you offer our community?
Yeah. So
You have
I
them,
think,
you're the real deal. I'm just talking
yeah,
about five
yeah.
pounds here.
Yeah, and the first thing I want to mention and be clear about is that I slip up all the time,
So
and I
it's okay to slip
backslide.
up and cheat, right?
It is expected
Okay,
to
good.
slip up
I
and
feel
to
better.
cheat and to backslide. The 100 pounds hasn't always been 100 pounds. Sometimes it's been 80. Sometimes it's been 75. Sometimes it's been 110. And what I've learned over time is that it has to become a lifestyle. As long
Right.
as the diet is a diet, it will only be something that you prescribe to yourself in need. And usually what happens is people wait until they get to that point where now they're desperate and they have to do extreme things in order to create balance instead of doing what they can do moderately daily on a consistent basis, which will produce long-term results. So
Mhm.
the goal is for this to become a lifestyle. And I know
Right.
it's difficult because in order to make these things a lifestyle, you have to have the time. You have to have the money, and you have to have the understanding, right? Because I may want to eat a certain way, but I may not have the means to eat a certain way. I may want to go to the gym, once a day, twice a day, every day, or 3 days a week. But if I have children, I'm a single parent. I may not be able to have that time to 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 do that. So I always recommend people to kind of start with where they are and choose one thing that you know you can do every day and be consistent at it. If that is every morning when I wake up, I have water, cool. If that is, I promise to do 15 minutes of physical activity twice a week, whatever it is, start with where you are. Because what happens is the results, even though they're little, like you were saying, you know, if I that first 5 pounds helps strengthen confidence, it helps build momentum, and it incentivizes the hard work, because making changes are never easy, especially if they're changes that involve work, which most changes do. So in order for you to feel good about it and to get a taste of that experience of what that goal can feel like when it's absolutely fulfilled, it's important that you see yourself accomplish something. And you can't accomplish anything if you don't start with anything. So sometimes people go off on the extreme. They're like, oh, you know, I'm going to drink water for 20 days and I'm going to do this fast and I'm going to do that. And they get these short-term results, but because it hasn't become a lifestyle, they don't have a relationship with the nuances of that process and how to sustain it. So now they get put in an environment where they can't fast or they can't do these things, and they go back to their old behaviors. So change behavior takes time, and lifestyle is the way to create a long-lasting approach to sustaining weight loss and to sustaining physical, mental, emotional, spiritual health, because it's holistic. It isn't just one thing. Like yoga changed my life because in addition to being physically active, I was eating better. But in addition to eating better, I was meditating. And in addition to meditating, I was in a supportive, positive, and like-minded individual community that was in support of what I was doing. So it was a combination of these factors that created this environment that allowed me to thrive. It wasn't any one thing. It's a combination of the parts that help you get that much closer to experiencing the whole. So it's a lifestyle in every sense of the word.
Thank you so much for that. And I think that everything you say, I'm also going to try to incorporate that in my life as well. And I want to say that one of the things you said that was very important, that even if you can just lose 5 pounds, it strengthens your confidence. It gives you that incentive to go for more. And just getting started, you know, just do one thing, like you said, be consistent with one thing that you're going to change. Do that once a day, and don't think you can gonna fix everything overnight. You didn't gain the weight overnight. You're not going to lose it overnight. It's going to be a process, and it's a long-term commitment. And you're saying that we're talking from a holistic perspective, that this is a lifestyle change that we're making, right?
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. And as long as you're consistent and you start with one thing that you know realistically you can manage, over time you'll naturally begin to transition to incorporating more and putting more on your plate and being able to reach that goal. But most people are intimidated by simplicity. Most people, they're under this assumption, or they have this mindset that it has to be an extreme approach. It has to be overly complicated. If it's too simple, it's not going to work because it's too simple. But something as easy as I'm making sure I'm drinking enough water, or, you know, I'm having a light breakfast and a light dinner. My heaviest meal is during the lunch hour between the hours 11 and 2, because the body's digestion and metabolism is at its highest point during that time. These little things that you can do every day, that are simple and very natural in its essence, can produce long lasting results. But sometimes I think people think they have to, out of being desperate, they have to go to an extreme. And that's not the way for long-term results.
Right. And the other thing is you don't want to go out if you've never ran a 5K or ran 3 miles. You don't want to start there. You want to maybe just do
No.
4 laps around the track or walk one
Yes.
mile. Just kind of build up to that because you will get discouraged very quickly to realize that
Yes.
you're not able to do that. So
And that's the key point. Discouraged. You will get
if you
discouraged.
push
Because if
yourself
you,
too hard, it's
yes.
not going to work either.
Nope. You're right.
So I want to talk about Greenbox Kitchen because you're
Yes.
actually opening up a second location.
Yeah.
And I want you to, for our community, to support your business
Yeah.
where you have 2 locations downtown. But talk about Greenbox and what kind of food do you serve?
Yeah. So Greenbox is 100% plant-based and vegan.
Okay.
So we specialize in nutrient-dense, wholesome menu items. So everything from bottled cold press juices to fresh fruit smoothies to acai bowls to grain bowls to massage kale salads to gluten-free and vegan options. We offer as a means to support people who want to entertain this lifestyle. And that was a big part for me. Like what I realized, especially coming into Delaware, was that over 55% of Wilmington is categorized as a food desert, which means that you live more than a mile and a half away from direct access to fresh produce.
Mm-hmm.
So when you look at the landscape and the environment of the way things are set up, it requires a lot of effort to be able to sustain a dietary lifestyle that supports weight loss and a high nutritional intake. So for me, I started with a nonprofit and I was employing and educating teens from the community, and I was having them make bottled cold pressed juices and other healthy goods. And we started there. And what we found is that through educating and raising awareness in the community, the people now wanted to have a more consistent and available option to support these changes. And the restaurant was born out of that need. I've never developed a restaurant. I don't come from a history or a background of restaurant owners. This was something that myself and my team developed because the community said they wanted it. And
Wow.
that was the only reason why we did it, and it's the only reason why we do it to this day, because it's a viable option that provides direct support and accessibility to foods that you can be introduced to that are tasty but as well are beneficial to your health. And that's what keeps us alive, that's what keeps us afloat. And that's our mission behind the work we do at the restaurant and the work we do in all areas of our professionalism.
And I want to say here, this, I don't know what this is here, but it looks like yoga with some granola and fresh fruit. That looks very tasty and sure, it's
Yes.
very healthy as well, right?
Yes.
What is that called?
Yeah, so that is a pitaya bowl.
Okay.
So pitaya is made from dragon fruit, which is an exotic nutrient dense fruit, and it's kind of turned into a sorbet, and that's the base. And then it's topped with strawberries, blueberries, sliced banana, fresh organic granola, and you can get it topped with agave drizzle if you want like a sweetness touch to it. But our take on the food and on the menu is that it has to taste good first. And
Right. I'm not going to eat anything if it doesn't taste
exactly.
Good. I have to be sold that if it's healthy, it has to taste good. And I want to say that your food here looks good, it looks healthy, and it looks like it tastes good.
Yes. And that's the part. It's like it's unrealistic for people to make this transition if their taste buds aren't satisfied.
Yes.
Point blank. Like I can't give you a bunch of kale and a bottle of water and just expect you to absolutely love and adore it. It doesn't work like that. You know, I'm gonna have to break it down. I'm gonna have to massage it with some olive oil. I may have to stir fry it and season it with some other veggies. And so you have to meet people's palate where they are, right? And then from there, what happens is when nature intervenes and their palate begins to diversify and it becomes more in tune with those natural flavors and ingredients, it naturally develops a new demand for healthier food. But you have to start with where you are. You can't go from, eating fried chicken and biscuits and ribs to eating a bunch of kale and drinking alkaline water overnight. In fact, you'll shock your system to the point where the withdrawal is so strong that you'll be intimidated by it. And then you'll really have confirmation that this healthy lifestyle ain't for you, because it tastes awful and makes me feel awful. And I want to go back to comfort. Mm-hmm. Right. So that's what we try to do. We try to meet you in the middle, where we know that we're intentionally making these food items with the best ingredients that we can find, and at the same time, it's tasty and it's relatable, and then you'll enjoy it.
So we will definitely support your business, and
like
I said, come down to downtown Wilmington to Greenbox.
Yes, yes, thank you.
And definitely try all of his selections, and just start small with something. One of his items.
A smoothie.
And, it gets, again, you have to develop and diversify your palates. So know that this is a long-term investment that you're making into your overall health and wellness. Yes. So I also want to talk about yoga, because you also are a certified yoga instructor. And I know for myself, I have taken yoga classes in the past, and actually it lowered my blood pressure significantly.
Wow, that's amazing.
It's something you got to stick with. That I say that I did not stick with the classes. I started out with an advanced class. We're thinking that this was easy, and I'm just stretching and realizing after 2 classes, I need to go to the beginner class, because I was like, this is hard. But I want to talk about some of the health benefits of yoga as well, because I don't think a lot of people in our community, I know that this is another lifestyle change that could benefit you in many ways. As I was saying, yoga improves your heart health. For me, and for many, it reduces stress. It can lower your blood pressure. It helps you manage stress better. It helps you sleep better. When I took those 2 advanced yoga classes, I was asleep.
You were knocked out like a baby.
I rested very well after those classes, let me tell you. It improves your strength, balance, and flexibility. It also eases chronic back pain and arthritis symptoms. And for the community to know that I take care of those with sickle cell anemia, and 30% of adults live with chronic pain. This is another lifestyle change that they can make, or an opportunity to improve their overall health and wellness, is to get involved in yoga. Yes. And it also promotes better self-care. Now, I'm just amazed that you have these young kids that are actually practicing these mindfulness techniques and yoga from a very young age, which I didn't start until I was much older. Yeah. But talk about the health benefits of yoga and why you're so passionate about that. In addition to living a healthy lifestyle, eating more nutrient-dense foods, and also a plant-based diet. Talk about yoga a little bit.
Yeah, so I think what really grabbed my attention about yoga, and what my yoga instructor used to explain to me, is that yoga is a systematic approach to living a greater quality of life. And I'm a very practical, functional, and logical person. So I like to kind of rationally sort things out before I go ahead and entertain them or incorporate it with them in my lifestyle. And with yoga, I like the fact that it provided a catalog of tools, techniques, and information that could give me the opportunity to dive into a diversity of things, which could ultimately lead to this holistically sound personal foundation. And I like the fact that it was practical. Like, it wasn't so much intellectual. Yes, there's an information and knowledge component to it, but at the end of the day, it's like you get on your mat, you put these tools, these techniques, and these postures into practice, and you experience the results for you. And I like that because sometimes it's too theoretical. It's too intellectual, right? So you don't have the experience through your senses in combination with the knowledge. So it never becomes real for you. And my yoga instructor would just explain to me like, hey, listen, like if you want to experience the results, you have to gauge in the practice. And here is the practice. And then I did the practice. And any person that you speak to that has done yoga, they will tell you firsthand of what that experience is. But you can't have that experience unless you engage in the practice. And I like that type of self-accountability because now the ball is in my court, right? It isn't up to anyone else but myself to try these practices. And if I do, and if I allow myself to, I'll experience the results. One of the big things that yoga provides for you is that it relieves stress on the level of the nervous system. Because when you're engaging in these physical postures correctly, you are told to integrate the breath within movement. And the combination of breathing and moving, it slowly begins to steady the heart rate, which steadies the breath rate, which relaxes the nervous system, which allows the physiology to begin to heal itself. Most people, when they think about sleep, they think about the physical benefits of sleep. But in fact, sleep mostly benefits the brain. Sleep is absolutely important for brain health, for mental health, because the frontal cortex, the CEO of the brain, which is responsible for all the thinking, planning, and doing, gets
Executive
put at
functioning, yep.
yes, gets put at rest with deep sleep. And what you end up seeing is that the white matter and the gray matter begins to reconnect and enliven itself and heal. So the breathing in combination with the movement, and most people, what you experience is this sense of deep relaxation, or you get this sense of energy kind of coming about. One of the physical benefits of yoga is that when we experience trauma within the body, oftentimes that trauma is stored in the body and not released from the body, which is why sometimes practicing yoga can be emotional, because what's happening is when you're stretching and you're releasing these stored traumas, these stored energies from the body, you begin to experience them on some level. And there's a deeper kind of layer of understanding when practicing yoga that provides this deeply rooted approach towards waking up the physiology, establishing greater emotional and psychological health, all through just utilizing these tools, these practices, and understanding the knowledge and information. And this is why I teach yoga on the level of people just engaging with it on a physical practice, but I even make sure that every yoga class that I teach, I incorporate mindfulness, I incorporate breath work, and I incorporate meditation. Because it's the combination of these parts that give you that experience that incentivizes the practice. And I think that's important because most people just understand yoga to be a simple physical practice that mainly involves doing different poses, postures, and stretches. And in fact, it's so much more. And there's a reason why it's globally and internationally practiced, and why people are born into it and become students of the knowledge and pass it down, lineage after lineage, because there are these long-term beneficial personal effects that you can have for yourself, and that you can use as a tool to give to others.
Thank you so much for that. How can we find out about FLYOGI? If someone wants to take one of your classes, I know we're in the middle of a pandemic. What kind
Yeah.
of, how can we get in touch with your organization in order to
Yeah.
either take a class or get some information about what you
Yeah.
do?
So super simple. It's flyogi.co. So it's FLYOGI.co.
Mm-hmm.
That's our website. You can find, our services right now. Well, for the last 2 or 3 years, we've been specializing in youth development. So we introduce mindfulness meditation and yoga within schools, community centers, and communities at large. And we also do corporate too, as a
Mm-hmm.
means to just, allowing people who work within corporate to have that break and that time away from the computer, and just incorporate
Oh,
some stillness.
yes.
Um, right now, we are for the most part all online.
Okay. So we
It,
can
it
take a
it's
virtual class.
Yes, it's still
All right.
effective. It's still effective, and it still works. I still do prefer and miss the
Yeah.
physical
Yeah.
experience, but the virtual gets the job done. So I have a team of 5 yoga instructors that work under me, and they all specialize in different practices, and are all unique and amazing in their own way. And we as a collective and as a team, tackle opportunities from corporate to community to individual and school.
Wow. Well, we're definitely going to support you. And I am very an advocate of integrating yoga and mindfulness meditation techniques for my clients. That I've seen the
Yeah.
benefit of it. I've actually helped a client of mine go through a sickle cell pain crisis by just staying mindful
Wow.
and meditating and with deep breathing, and took
Yes.
him to a very safe place, a relaxing
Yes.
state of mind, and he was able to calm down. So I know, and I've seen it, the benefits of practicing yoga and mindfulness meditation, incorporating it into all of the things that we do to improve our clients' overall health and wellness. But Mr. Aviles, we could be here forever because
You're
your
right.
work is so impressive. I'm also going to link your TED Talks to our TOVA Tuesday episode today. But I just wanted some last minute comments from you to close this out today. The work you're doing is it's so amazing, and an entrepreneur, but you're also a social entrepreneur. You're providing
Yes.
services to help people live a healthier life and lifestyle, and you're building a sense of community. You're keeping people healthy and safe and
Yeah.
feeling that they're valued. All right, Mr. Aviles, any last minute comments from you? Anything you
Yeah.
want to say?
Yeah. I would say that the number one thing that I've been learning and putting into practice within the last 5 years of my life is self-awareness.
Mm,
Self-awareness is the fundamental foundation of your life, and it's very important that you carve out time to self-assess, to self-inquire, and to just develop a safe and clear sound understanding of who you are, because that's the beginning of curating a lifestyle that's appropriate to you accomplishing the goals that will lead you to being happy. And I think that is of the utmost importance, whether it be in business and understanding what you want to do with your life and your purpose and your career, or whether it be, your lifestyle, your health goals. It's important that you have this understanding of self to properly assess and determine what's for you, because everything isn't for you. And you won't know that something isn't for you if you don't know who you are, if you don't have a clear sounding board to bounce off the influence and the constant influx of information, especially now with social media, coming at you and in you on a daily basis, continuously. And what I see happening is that a lot of people are setting unrealistic goals for themselves based on what they're seeing other people do or what they're seeing be fit for other people without understanding who they are and properly making that choice based on an understanding of what their goals are, what their individual goals are. And I'm learning that now. And I think that's why things are becoming that much more clearer and efficient and effective for me, because I'm realizing that I don't need as much as I thought I think I needed to be happy. So now my life can look a little bit different, a lot less stressful and just graceful, because I'm acting on purpose to accomplish the goals that I see fit for me and for my family, so we can be happy and we can be well. So I would say that spend the time, the effort, and the energy in developing a greater sense of who you are. And from there, you can figure out what's appropriate for you, whether it's a diet, whether it's yoga, whether it's Kundalini, whether it's Kung Fu, whether it's CrossFit, whether it's this. You'll be able to clearly understand, determine what you need to build around you to support that once you understand what it is that you want and who you are.
Well, I think you can't end up better than that. And we are both social entrepreneurs. We're in different areas, but our interests are so much similar as well. And I wanted to say, just for my viewing audience, is just to have a sense of purpose, to find that.
Yeah.
And, people think that if you are an entrepreneur, you're a business owner, that you have this MTV Cribs lifestyle.
No.
Not necessarily. I mean, it hasn't happened for me yet. But I am very proud of the work that I do, and maybe
Yes.
long hours, but the sense of value that I have in myself and purpose means so much more. And yes, maybe one day I'll get that MTV Chris. No, I wouldn't want that. First, because I wouldn't want to take care and maintain it. But
Yes.
doesn't it
Yes.
saying that you're very successful in what you do, but you have a sense of purpose. And I think that's very important. And you're helping
Yes.
people. You are a healer. And that brings a lot of value to people in our community. And it's so needed. I want to say thank you, Mr. Aviles, for coming on TOVA Tuesday today. You have been such an inspiration to me, and I'm sure many others as well. I just wanted to thank all who watch TOVA Health TV. I'm Dr. Anderson, Executive Director and founder of TOVA Community Health. If you want to learn more about TOVA Community Health, you can go to our website at www.tovacommunityhealth.org. Also like us on Facebook and Instagram at TOVA Community Health. And you can see this episode and more TOVA Tuesdays if you go to TOVA Health TV on YouTube. If you like this episode, please donate on our Cash App, which is $TOVA Healthcare. Again, I want to thank Mr. Aviles, owner and social entrepreneur and healer in our community of FLYOGI, and the co-owner of Greenbox as well. I will see you back again for another episode of TOVA Tuesday. Stay safe, stay healthy, stay well. Take care.